Right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is one of the most highly anticipated work sessions that we've had in a while. No, but really, thank you for being here. It's 4 o'clock. Madam Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Mr. Jacobs, Mr. Morrissey,
Holding down the left side.
Mr. Powers,
Far left.
Mr. Lind,
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Amos,
Here.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Welper.
Here. Motion to approve the agenda is proposed.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We have some special guests with us today, but Mr. Welper, it is a work session you asked for. Could you take the lead, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for allowing me to present this proposal today, and especially want to thank those people from Hawkeye Community College that were able to join us. Today's meeting, we would like to wrap it up at 4:45, so hopefully we can get through all of this. There's going to be a great deal of information given to you, and I'm sure you're going to have some questions. My intention is to do somewhat of a statement initially. I wish to recognize the 25 people who have been involved in putting this proposal together, and then I will turn it over to Hawkeye Community College, where they will present their portion of the proposal, and then we will open it up to questions. We will not be discussing locations of houses today. That will come at a later date. Secondly, I will be mentioning different companies that have been involved in this proposal, but they have nothing to do with the proposal. They're simply helping me with my research and putting this proposal together. And thirdly, as I spoke to you when I was requesting this work session, I said we were not completely ready to go public with this because there's a great deal of logistics that still have to be resolved, and we're finding it difficult to resolve some of those issues without going public. So this is the purpose of that. As you all know, the city of Waterloo leads the state with the 657A laws. We have continued to acquire properties. We now have well over 100 buildable lots that we have tried to sell. We've tried to give away with development agreements and have had very little success. Our friends at Habitat for Humanity have shown no interest in these lots because the homes in which they build are generally people choosing their lots as to where they wish to build their homes. Secondly, some of our local home builders who are building houses in these infill lots have also shown little interest for the simple fact that lending institutions are reluctant to loan money on areas that have not had houses built for some time. So somebody has to take the initial risk of building homes in some of these areas. So what started out as a challenge has developed into a possible partnership with the City of Waterloo, Hawkeye Community College, and the Waterloo Public Schools. Now, the Waterloo Public Schools will not get involved in the proposal in this project until the year 2019, but we've got them at the table so they are kept up to date as to how this proposal is working. In order for me to do my research, what I was looking for was for people who would listen but advise. And I wanted to recognize all those people who have contributed to this proposal. I started with Mayor Hart, I believe, back in May, and I stated that I was going to take on this challenge of trying to find out how to start building homes in our infill lots. And so I started with city staff. The first person I spoke to was Chris Western. He's our planner and brownfields coordinator. Chris is quite involved in the sale of our city vacant lots. Secondly, Noel Anderson, Community Planning and Development Director. No, of course, plays a very important part in this very type of issues. Rudy Jones, another community development director. I went to Rudy because of Rudy's knowledge of building homes in the area, and he was also my biggest cheerleader, and I really appreciate that, Rudy. Dave Zellifer, city attorney. Dave's involvement in acquiring the 657A laws. So Dave also plays an important part. And of course, Michelle Wiedner, our chief financial officer. Michelle will oversee the financials of this proposal. Now, to figure out where I was going with this, I needed to talk to somebody who was involved in developments like this. And I went to Rick Young of Young Development. And Rick and I had some pretty good talks. Rick could not be here today, but anyway, I really appreciated what he had to say. Ethan Asbell, estimator for Menards, he was able to give me the materials cost of the house that I chose, and we can get into the house that I chose later on. Scott Jordan, owner of Scott's Electric. Scott was helping me with electrical costs of this particular house that I was looking at. Andrew Tink of Young Plumbing and Heating. Andrew was helping me with the costs of plumbing and heating and air conditioning. He's also part of the apprentice program. Michael Moore of Martinson Construction. I needed someone to give me a price on what it would cost for basement and flat work. Michelle Westendorf, home mortgage consultant, Wells Fargo Bank, in residential lending. Michelle was very helpful in explaining some of the laws that have changed since 2008, such as every house has to be appraised prior to being built. And actually, this is a good thing for us because it pretty much tells us where we should build the next house. But we can get into that later as well. Tony Stamler, assessment appraiser for Blackhawk County. Tony's here today as well. He can help us understand how this same house in one neighborhood would be assessed for $75,000. In another neighborhood, the exact same house can be assessed for $150,000. So if we have any questions in regards to that, Tony can help us with that today. So I needed to get into, I have the lots, I know what the house is going to cost. Now I got to find someone to help me build it. So I contacted Kathy Flynn. Kathy Flynn's been a friend for a number of years, and she's the vice president of Institution of Advancement at Hawkeye. She said, I know the person that you need to speak to is Dr. Jane Bradley, the vice president of Academic Affairs. I had a short conversation on the phone with Dr. Bradley. We met a few days later, and I would say that was the beginning of a courtship between the city of Waterloo and Hawkeye Community College. Dr. Linda Allen could not be here today because of commitments at Hawkeye, but is also in support of this project. Ben Strickert, instructor of sustainable construction and design. Dan Gillen, vice president of administration and finance. David Grunkley, dean, applied sciences and engineering and technology. Jerry Orr, trade and industry coordinator. Craig Clark, the instructor of sustainable construction and design. Craig Clark was my only mistake. I never should have taken him along to the meeting. He started out on our side of the table and went to the other side. But we're happy for Craig, and we're happy for Hawkeye, and I have to say that it's working out well because now he understands both sides of the issue here. So we wish Craig well. Mary Pat Moore, the Director of Public Relations and Marketing, and Kimberly Brewer, Graphic Design. And also with the Waterloo Community Schools, Dr. Jane Lindeman, Superintendent, and Crystal Buzzo, Executive Director of Professional Education. So it wasn't about me. I was simply the vehicle of carrying information from one person to another, and we were able to put this together. So with that, sick of you guys, I'm sure people are sick of listening to me. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Jane Bradley of Hawkeye Community College.
Thank you, Councilman Welcher. Thank you, Mayor Hart, and to the rest of the council. I've never appeared before this council before, so this is quite exciting, and this is for a great reason. So I really do appreciate it.
You guys are here, you're not asking me to come back to Hawkeye?
Well, that we'll talk later. Yeah, we do appreciate your prior knowledge of how the college functions. So, no, when Councilman Welcher called me, it was just kind of a perfect situation. We do have a sustainable construction program that we're quite proud of, and when we say sustainable construction, our faculty build houses that in an ideal world will have zero net energy usage. So they look at ways to build houses in a very responsible way that's very sustainable for a community, and that's I think something that's quite important for the future and for the use of energy in the future. So they're well trained in that kind of building, that building style, those types of materials and so forth. But when Councilman Welcher contacted me, we have been struggling to find projects. And when I say projects, residential projects. Our faculty have been great about working with Mr. Gillen to look at projects on campus. And they have completed projects that have been quite beneficial to the college, and we greatly appreciate that. But that is not what that program is designed to do. It's a residential housing program. So we have struggled with what kind of projects are we going to do? What is that program? What are those students going to learn? We have students that want to learn construction. They want to go into the construction business, and they need projects. They need projects of building houses, and in our case, sustainable types of houses that have that type of low energy usage. So when we talked, it was just kind of this perfect situation where we need projects. The city has lots that are costing the city money to maintain. And maybe this is a situation, it could be a win-win, where we could have opportunities to put in homes in areas that right now are not desirable by very many groups, if any, and then maybe make those areas more desirable for the future. So maybe it would bring in more people with interest in those neighborhoods. So we could be the start of something big. We could be the start of the development of an area that could then house people that are looking for affordable housing, and in housing that's not going to cost them an arm and a leg for utilities. So that would help in these neighborhoods to provide something that's going to be beneficial as far as cost. So it was a great opportunity. We were thrilled at the chance to have the conversation, and we're excited that it's made it to this level. We hope that you will seriously consider the potential of this partnership. The college is very excited about it. Everyone that has been involved in the conversations has been quite excited. There are details to work out for sure, but we're looking at it as having a great deal of potential for a win-win, and I hope that you see it that way. Since you've introduced the Hawkeye team, pretty much I do want to introduce Dean David Grunkley. However, he's going to talk to you a little more about the specifics of the Sustainable Construction Program. So again, thank you for your time and consideration. I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
Thank you. The Sustainable Construction Program at Hawkeye is a fairly new program. We're in our third year with students. It continues to grow. Last year we had 18 students in the program. This year we're at 25. We anticipate a lot more growth from that. The program is designed to give the students a good basic understanding of residential construction, focusing on the sustainable aspect, and then the output, our students would go to work for local employers around here and become good employees for them, stay local, and build the houses that are needed within this area. And then we have over here it shows the courses in the program, gives a little description about what they do as far as everything from concrete work to the main part of building the houses, residential energy auditing, is a big part of the program. Sustainable design when it comes to the HVAC systems and the insulation, the lighting, the electrical use. Around campus, the students been doing, as Dr. Bradley said, a lot of work on campus with transforming an old daycare building into our new athletic offices. Last year, over the past 2 years, they constructed a tiny house that was very energy efficient that we were able to build and then sell that to try to get some funds to put back into the program, but gave the students good experience on building energy efficient facilities. Do a lot of concrete work around campus because there's always concrete work to do, but what we're lacking is the students' ability to get out there and build the houses. That is the thing that the students want to do. We can get them a lot of things very similar to it, but not to the point where we're actually constructing a house at this time. We think that would lend to the educational experience for the students and therefore help prepare them for the workforce to be better employees out for our local contractors. Anybody have any questions over the program? And well, I'd just like to finish out by introducing Ben Strickert and, Craig Clark as the instructors in the program. And so we're available to answer questions over this project that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Well, gentlemen, you have to have questions.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir. One of the questions that I have is what exactly is the city's role? What are the expectations that Hawkeye Community College expects from the city of Waterloo?
No, you want to take that?
No, but Michelle wasn't moving, so. Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. We're checking with the attorneys to see exactly how to set this all up. But basically, the city will be providing lots in partnership with Hawkeye and the schools to go ahead and allow them to go build houses on them. We believe we're going to retain ownership of the lot. They will take over responsibility for liability and insurance and all that of the house that they're building. And at the end, they will turn over the finished house to us for us to sell. That's a really simplistic way of however we're going to set it up. But again, we're working out the details of how we need to do that from a legal standpoint of making this work.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. Okay, we're talking about this kind of program. How would it actually be financed then? I mean, where does the money come from? How does, is it one of these circulating kind of funds? What is the concept being used there for the funding? And I take it that this is a continual growth kind of project.
Short answer is yes.
Thanks, Ron.
Michelle will address that.
I have.
I'll answer that.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, just, didn't have a lot of time to put much together, so. How are we going to finance this is the question, but we will. Right now, today, we believe the city owns about 147 vacant buildable lots, and Knoll may have a slightly lower number than that. Some of those may not be quite the size for a home. We currently use property tax operating money to fund mowing, snow removal, and utilities. That covers all our redevelopment properties, including some commercial lots, but it does include these vacant lots as well. Today, we're spending just under $111,000 is budgeted for the current fiscal year for that. That's 4.95 cents on our tax levy that's going toward maintaining these properties. We haven't really talked about the neighborhoods we're going to build on yet, but many of those neighborhoods haven't seen new construction in quite some time. So we are hoping that new construction on the infill lots will help to increase the values of all the homes in the neighborhood. As you see, instead of a vacant lot that's overgrown with weeds and brush, if you see a nice new home there, we're optimistic that realtors and citizens will think those are nice places to live and will bring up the property values everywhere. So the next slide walks you through the property taxes that could be generated by a new home. One of the homes that we're looking about building, we're projecting an assessed value of $75,000. So I'm walking you through applying the rollback. That means the taxable value of that new house will be just under $43,000. Today, it's a vacant lot, maybe has an assessed value of $1,000, maybe a few thousand. But if we take just the city tax rate, and I see I lost a digit there, that's a 17, but it disappeared. The annual city taxes generated by that new house would be $752 a year. The total taxes generated for all the taxing bodies, and that would include the school district, Hawkeye, the county, everything, would be $1,742. But if the city could, get an annuity of $752 a year instead of spending maybe $200 or $300 a year on mowing and snow removal, that's a pretty significant change in what we're doing. Then one of the questions that actually Councilman Morrissey mentioned at a recent council meeting, he wanted to know in the future if items that staff put on the agenda would support the city's proposed strategic goals. And unfortunately, you haven't adopted the final version of that yet, but so I was
about to say that.
I just worked with the draft as I've seen it. Goal number 7 says to foster housing development and rehab programs that strengthen neighborhoods, provide diverse options for residents, and increase Waterloo residential taxable values by 20% by 2022. I think it's fairly obvious that getting new houses built on infill lots will certainly contribute towards that goal. Goal number 6, help to grow Waterloo's population. Hopefully, as we provide more housing, we will add population, and that will help meet that goal. Goal number 3 was to grow the city's taxable property valuations by $250 million by 2022. Again, these are small incremental steps toward reaching that large overarching goal. And goal number 1 is to reduce the city's property tax levy rate to less than $17 a thousand by July 2021. And again, these are the draft goals. They might change. I just didn't have anything better to go from. But obviously, whenever we're adding a home, we're generating revenue. And in this case, we're doing 2 things because we're also going to reduce our operating expenses with the mowing and the snow removal. We are proposing to use bond money to to purchase the materials for the first, probably will need to be a couple of homes to begin with, so that it's projected it'll probably take 2 years to complete one house, and there are many people from Hawkeye here who can explain that better than I can. But to fit into the school district year, that's how it will work best. After the first house is done, there'll be one house ready every year. That as it's sold, those proceeds can be again circulated to continue funding the construction of the next home. Those are our preliminary thoughts, and again, we do not have all the technical legal details worked out about how this arrangement will work, but those are our thoughts today.
So the hope is, well, 2 things. With the city goals that we have right now, the 3, 8, and 9 on our council agenda, so they do fit within the goals that we do have approved. Number 2, the hope is that with some additional startup money, that this program would be able to be sustainable on its own with purchasing stuff once we get the first house or 2 built.
We would hope so. We'll have to wait and see what actually happens, but that's certainly the goal.
Mayor, the council, one of the questions that was raised, why are you competing against other contractors and other organizations? And the answer is no. Actually, it's just the opposite. Like I stated, that so many of our developers can't go into some of these areas because they can't get the houses financed. So my initial thought was, this being a perpetual program, that I did not want any more than $5,000 profit per house. I wanted to build them and sell them as fast as we could. But according to Michelle Westendorf, I can't do that. You actually have to sell the house for market value. So even though we'll be able to produce these houses at a lesser cost, we can't sell them any cheaper than what the market value is. So, you know, when I was stating when houses have to be appraised before they can be built, it kind of tells us as to where to build the next house. I mean, when we're sitting good with money, we can go into some of the areas with the house, you know, will have little profit. When we're hurting when I shouldn't say hurting, but are looking for increase our funds, we can go to areas where the house will sell for more and keep our bank account up. So, if that makes sense to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so Hawkeye's not building these houses. They're not paying for these houses. We're paying for the houses, right? They're our houses.
We're funding the project, yes.
So we're going to go in the house building business.
Hawkeye's doing that. We're just funding it.
Through their, they have their curriculum for their program on the last page of the handout. So I believe Hawkeye is actually building the houses, right?
Yes, that's correct.
They're doing the labor.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And there will be parts to the house that they will have to farm out. They will not be able to do all aspects of building the house, but eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to increase doing more and more as the houses continue to be built.
Who's going to be the project manager? I mean, who's going to oversee the bills coming in?
Well, this is part of the financing part that we haven't got completely resolved yet as to how to go about handling this. This all has to be done legally.
Mr. Chairman, another question is, what is there must be some kind of theory or some kind of program that's similar to this that would be able to be comparable. And the question is, what is this theory? What is the theory or the concept behind putting new housing into old parts of town that have had their assessed property values depressed over time?
How else are you going to? What are you going to do with these vacant lots? You're losing me here.
I just want to see. I just want to understand what, and I think other people would want to understand if you have neighborhoods where this, and I think sounds like a great program, but if you have neighborhoods where every house in that neighborhood is assessed no more than say $50,000, the top one, $50,000-$60,000. And then you put one of these homes in there, and that home is assessed at, you're saying it's going to have to meet that market value,
Yes.
twice that. Who is it proven that people will come and buy those houses in that area, or do we have something to go on? Is this all theoretical? And who are we targeting as buyers? Are we targeting everybody? Are we targeting lower income individuals, moderate incomes? Is there going to be any kind of financial incentives or any kind of financial packages that people can make use of if they are in the low to upper low income, area, or low middle income? There's a whole bunch of questions in there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. So.
Yeah. Here again, I mean, we're trying to get houses built in the vacant lots that right now are costing the city money. If we can go in there and build a house, even if we have to take a little bit of a loss on that house, the money will come back through the taxes. Somebody could get a heck of a deal moving into a brand new house in an older neighborhood. If you look at the handout that you were given from Craig Clark, you look at the second house that's on that page. That second house is a house that I chose that I tried to find a house that had roughly 1,300 square feet. This is 1,281. It is a 3-bedroom home with decent-sized bedrooms. This particular house can be built with 2 different roofs and windows, so you could build the same house side by side and look completely different. I tried to keep the cost of these houses in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Well, I think it may be a question, if we take a look at prior practice, if you go to the Madison Monroe area within the city of Waterloo, those folks hadn't seen a brand new house built in their area in, what, 50, 60 years. If we go down the street to East 8th, East 9th Street, down the street, Lafayette, you see noticeable changes to those neighborhoods. Those were projects that were in a combination with community development and some other types of resources. But, you know, to the thought, this should be an opportunity, and I haven't publicly yes or no, but I mean, at some point we're going to have to try to build the community and rebuild the infrastructure of those neighborhoods. Look at your own ward, Mr. Morrissey, off of Burton. When was the last time there was a brand new house built over in the Burton area? But now we're starting to see some type of investment in those houses that are in that surrounding area. Didn't cost any more than the houses that were built there. But I think if we don't try to do something to add to the tax base in those areas, work to try to at least put some housing in there and the infrastructure for more housing, I think it's time to do it. So maybe this program can be one in which we do targeted development, where community development comes in, the Waterloo Housing Trust comes in. Habitat also has, if I'm not mistaken, a touch-up program that we may be able to utilize for some of the existing homes there and change the entire context of some of those neighborhoods. But if we continue not to do anything where we have the opportunity, we'll continue to see no change happening. So, you know, the hopes is, I would assume that we're creating community. And then also, the students will be building these houses as well. So you get a great opportunity for them to learn to give back to their communities. But if we don't do anything, I mean, nothing will change.
And I hope you, by my questions, I hope you understand that those are just pieces of information that I'd like to get. I think, you know, the concept that, as I understand it, as Mr. Welper has explained it and other people have explained it, is a great concept. And I'm fully in favor of the community involvement that this is looking like it's going to be just not one person or one developer doing something. This is a number of people being involved in a number of different areas, and I hope it works. I know there's going to be some questions about where, as you well know, Mr. Welper, which will come up as soon as November 28th.
Yes, we know. We understand that.
And you know, that the question about where is an absolutely great point. But I think people in those neighborhoods are wondering when will we see some type of change and some opportunity, some TLC to our neighborhood. So I hope the where question transform into when. And you know, when as in time, but when for the neighborhood as well. So the hope is to try to get rid of some of these lots, to put some taxable value on them, to get this growing back into our tax base, so we can work on that. Are you taking Mr. Schmidt?
Mr. Mayor, just real quickly, to follow up, I think, on Councilman Morrissey, maybe one of the questions he was asking is this something that has been done anyplace else? I know I think it's Cedar Rapids or Iowa City or someplace, one of the high schools has a shop program or a home building program, and they go out and build a new house every year and they sell it and they turn that money over. My guess is those are probably not built on infill lots. Those are probably built on, you know, a little bit more pro-growth areas of town, so I don't think that would be exactly the same thing, and I don't know about the combination of city and schools and, you know, the whole involvement there. So this particular plan, is this something, you know, completely new to, yeah, it's just conception, inception in Waterloo, Iowa, or is this something that, you got from a combination of what some other communities are doing?
I just started talking to people, and this is what developed. I have no idea if this is
Great.
being done in other
Okay.
communities.
Well, I think if Crystal is in the audience, we actually, is Dr. Lindeman here as well? We actually attended when we went to Delaware, and one of the schools has an entire program. The houses you're building are a lot larger, but they'd actually build the house and put them in particular lots within the community as well. I don't have the demographics on it, but I guess if you want some more research, I don't know.
No, I know, and I was just curious about that, because I think, like Councilman Morrissey said, I think it sounds like a great idea conceptually. I'd like to make sure, the whole community is made aware of this, which of course is what we're doing today, to get the input from the realtors, from the building trade folks, and get their thoughts and get their input on this too.
That's why we're going public today.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I could ask, well, did I hear correctly, Ron, that the hope for is to try to construct 2 of these in a year, or 1 per year, or
Well, I
one
think-
every 2 years? Or?
I think Hawkeye could probably answer that question better, but we're going to start to get into a rotation. Greg, can you explain how the rotation will work?
Craig Clark, I guess, so we would be building 2 technically at a time. We would start 1 a year, but they would take 2 years to build. So we have students that is basically a 2-year program. So the students, when they come in the Hawkeye for the first year, would start a house, and then by the time they graduate, it would be finished. So that's how we'd be starting a new one every year. We'd probably be looking at like a July start. So basically some of that underground work and stuff would be done when we come in to start the classes in August. So it'd be basically 1 done a year and 1 starting a year, but 2 under construction at a time.
Okay. And would they be at, I know, and this is a location question, sort of, but would they, say you started one 1 year, would you start another one that year in the same location? Or would it be somewhere on the other side of town, or in a quadrant, or how do you look at doing this?
I guess those have not been all determined yet. It would be nice for us to obviously have 2 homes in the similar location for transportation, things like that. We're talking about getting 25 students, from Hawkeye to these job sites, things like that, basically 3-4 days a week. So yeah, closer together is better for us, and I think that's probably also better for the city for a development standpoint. If you put 2 brand new houses in the same block, let's say, it would have a lot more impact on that neighborhood than maybe 1 on the east side and 1 on the west side, 1 on the east side, and that type of thing. So I guess there's a couple different strategies there, but for us it would work better to be closer together, I guess.
One final, is there anything in the project or the concept that involves the city purchasing any additional property? Or is this all specifically geared towards city-owned infill, nothing else?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
2 a year, we have 140 lots. It's going to take a while.
Well, I think maybe Councilman Morrissey question, maybe if you do find a good infill lot next to a vacant lot, would there be a possibility to also grab the vacant lot so you can put 2 houses next to each other versus just the one? Or is that?
Well, conceptually, that's what the question was aimed at. If there was a desire to have a couple homes in the same vicinity and you only have 1 lot there, but another lot was available and it was privately owned or owned by some other entity, would the city, as part of this program, want to purchase that for assessed value of that vacant, privately owned area?
Yeah, I really don't think the city's going looking for more lots to buy when we have all the lots right now.
Just a question, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
They can donate them though.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question? Mr. Dreyer, you had a question?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, I keep hearing talk about infill lots. However, and I heard a figure of 147 vacant buildable lots. I also understand we have 150, or around 147, 150 vacant properties for sale right now that have a house on them. Could this possibly be something we could incorporate with Hawkeye to revamp these houses? Because there is a lot of instruction capable on having to tear out and rebuild as opposed to just building a brand new house. Over my career, when I've had to reconstruct something, it's a lot more difficult, and I learn a lot more than just building a brand new house. Can we put some city money behind that instead of, and I understand we have a lot of money we're spending on mowing and snow removal and all that stuff, but when you build a new house, you create another vacant house that we eventually will probably have to buy. Or assume because of taxes, now we got another vacant house we need to tear down and spend money on, etc. So can we get Hawkeye, Habitat for Humanity, etc. to get together on a project like that rather than filling in these vacant lots? It seems to me like we have a lot of property in this town for sale that is not only between 50,000 and 150,000 and 300,000 that we could revamp and get in a lot of those areas. And I plotted it on the map on the vacant houses that we have. Let's fill those in. Thank you.
Mr. Dryer, I have no idea where you came up with another 150 homes that need renovating.
Board of Realtors, sir.
Well, I think we're not going to get into, I think you said location and those types of things right now. I think what we're hearing is that there are over 150 homes right now that need some improvement that we could work on too, and taking a look at partnerships. I will tell you, our community development office works with hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to help some of those same residents, and also works to works with landlords as well. So dollars are being spent in that area to help some of these challenges. But I think what you're saying is it's not enough, and we can never have enough programs to try to help people to get their houses fixed. So I hear you. So thank you.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we can have too many programs at one time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can we use HUD money for this program?
We will certainly seek.
Rudy will address that.
Rudy Jones. Yes, we're spending a number of different funding resources to address all of the housing needs that we have. As we might recall, in the 900,000 block of Lafayette, we started out with some dilapidated homes. We purchased some fell in our laps. We had some vacant lots, and we rehabilitated those that we could. We started from scratch with new construction, those we could. We're still investigating vacant homes that we do have in that lot. We actually have one going up right now. We're working with our partners as well with like concepts and projects similar to what's been discussed. I know that Habitat for Humanity is pursuing the possibility of taking some of those vacant homes and rehabilitating them. So I don't think we can have too many programs when it takes so many pieces of the puzzle to bring back a block of neighborhood whole. So we're trying to find who all the players are, who all the partners are, and bring as many resources to bear to bring back our community. And yes, we could use HUD funds if it fits the program.
Thank you, Tom.
Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Well, I want to thank Hawkeye, thank all the partners for trying to think outside of the box to kind of help with housing. I want to thank Ron for his determination to continue to move forward. We'll see where we go from here, but I want to thank everyone associated with this project. There's been a motion and a
second
to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Meeting of boards and committee to order.
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Powers?
I need a motion to approve the agenda as proposed.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as proposed.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Councilman Jacobs, if you would please take the motions that are there.
Right. Chairman, we have a motion to receive and file Mayor Hart's recommendation of the following appointments. Today, Jim Peterson to Memorial Hall Commission, expiration date December 31, 2018. This is a new appointment. Secondly, Tom Powers to the Complete Streets Advisory Committee, no expiration date. This is a new appointment.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are in adjournment. Thank you.
Let's call the Human Resource Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Powers? Mr. Lind?
Here.
Mr. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda is proposed.
Second.
Motion and a second on the agenda. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Same sign, that motion passes. We have one request today.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lynn?
I move to approve the request from building official to initiate a civil service process to fill a position of combined inspector 2 and make an appointment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the request to initiate the civil service process for a combination inspector. Any questions or discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
What does that inspector do? Is that plumbing, heating, is it building inspections? It's not the fog guy or anything, is it?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. That is correct. He can do a lot of the inspections. One of the things we talked about in this whole process was looking at the possibility of combining the fog and the footage drain positions in the future as those workloads change or as positions change. So this is one of those steps that get toward that.
This is that new combined position that can do everything.
That is correct.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second on adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Today is November 14th. Let's call our Finance Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey from
Here.
Mr. Powers? Mr. Welper?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda and the minutes of November 7, 2016 is proposed.
Mr. Morrissey, this is an amended agenda. Did you get a copy of that?
No, I did not.
Okay. You would just read the amended agenda?
Okay, so motion to approve the amended agenda, which is under leisure services, mountain estimated shipping handling, rather than $7,060, $4,000 for concrete for the new sign and sidewalk at Burns Tennis Center.
Second.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the amended agenda and the minutes. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Travel requests. One of you would take that?
I've got a travel request tonight. Michelle Wigner, CFO, to attend the 21st Annual Governmental Gap Update. Destination is a webinar, December 1st, not to exceed $180.
Yeah, continue up until you get to the pre-auth there, Bruce.
Secondly, we have a refund request in the amount of $27 for garbage fees paid on a vacant property located at 1017 Forest Avenue. Refund request in the amount of $94.50 for garbage fees billed in error for property located at 1285 Downing Court, as there was no garbage cart on the property.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on those first requests. Is any questions or discussion on any of those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Those motions pass. Pre-auths.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I'd like to
Morrissey.
make a motion to approve the following expenditures over $1,000. Airport amount and estimated shipping handling of $1,500 for the above funds to hold a business after hours in partnership with the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance. Next is for the airport amount and estimated shipping handling of $3,200 for staff requesting approval to perform airfield painting services to the runway center line and runway 18-36 for an additional $300 due to the extra work needed, total of $3,200. Next is building maintenance amount and estimated shipping handling of $10,800 for sanitary sewer line repairs in the Waterloo Police Tactical Storage Area. Next is the fire department with amount and estimated shipping handling of not to exceed $4,000 for a motion tablet. Next is fire department amount of estimated shipping handling not to exceed $1,251 for decals for a new ambulance. Next is leisure services amount and estimated shipping handling $13,758.88 for installation of retaining wall at Castle Bluff Park. Next is leisure services for amount with estimated shipping and handling not to exceed $10,000 for gravel / crusher run. Next is leisure services amount with estimated shipping and handling $4,000 for concrete for the new sign and sidewalk at Burns Tennis Center. And that was the amended part, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Next is leisure services amount and estimated shipping and handling $2,681 for used basketball shirts. This is an amended pre-auth. Participation is higher than expected, which is great news. Next is for the police department with amount and estimated shipping and handling $22,000 for purchase of a 2017 Dodge Durango. Next is for the police department with amount and estimated shipping and handling $6,397 for renewal of the SNS vCenter or VMware Server Foundation and vSphere agreement. And finally is the sewer department amount with estimated shipping and handling of $6,697.99 for replacement of Hayward Gordon pump parts for digester sludge recirculation pumps.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on all the pre-auths. Is there any questions or discussion on any of those?
Nothing other than I would like to thank Paul Hudding and his people for doing the work out at the Castle Bluff Park. Thank you, Paul Hudding. And Todd and all the others.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those motions pass. Today, there's no budget line item amendments, but the bills payment this week. $4,416,647.39. That's 4,416,647.39.
Second.
Motion and a second on bills payment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Bills are paid.
Mr. Chairman, I move for adjournment.
Second.
Motion and a second on adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Everyone to this evening's council meeting. We have a lot of items to get through. Madam Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Powers? Mr. Lind?
Here.
Mr. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have an almost full agenda. Mr. Powers was thinking about trying to join from the telephone, but we don't know as of yet. But I'd like you to either stand or sit. It's your choice. This is now our moment of silence. And I would ask that you would keep your hearts and your minds turned towards the family that most recently had a vicious act based upon them. So please join me in a moment of silence with no static. All right, thank you. This evening's pledge will be led by Councilman Bruce Jacobs from Ward 2.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended on item number 4 on your regular council agenda. It is correct on hard copy and electronically, but the city clerk says I need to read it into the record. Number 4 is a resolution authorizing the sale and conveyance of a vacated alley within the former Bowl-In block, generally located in the block bounded by Mullen Avenue, Jefferson Street, West First Street, and Highway 218 to Hawkeye Community College in the amount of $1 and approving a development agreement with Hawkeye Community College. And also approval of the minutes of November 7, 2016 regular session as proposed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda and a record of minutes. Right now, we have something fun coming up. I'd like to call up Alex, and we have our Optimist Flag football player and Coach of the Year recognition. All right, Alex, so, hello, how are you? It's a pretty hard handshake.
This is Cooper.
Hey, come on up. Come on up around so we can get some photos. Stay right.
You stay right over here, buddy. Well, first off, I want to thank the mayor and council for allowing us to recognize some of our young athletes and some of our great volunteers here in the community. We had over 250 players this year in our flag football program, with an additional 15 volunteer coaches that helped run the program. Also, big thanks goes out to all the parents, guardians, aunts, uncles, grandparents that were able to get the kids to the flag football games this year. With the river levels, we had to do some relocating, kind of just last second, so without their help, the program would have been so successful. We'll start with our coaches of the year this year. Our first and second grade coach of the year is Byron Phillips. Byron has been helping us for years now. His son is actually working for me at this point in time, so he's been along for a while.
Not the first and second grade team.
Yes. His assistant coach was Dave Getman, but he is not able to be here tonight, so. Our third and fourth grade coach of the year is Josh Alvarez. There you go. Josh has been around for 3 years now, coached baseball 2. This is your first flag football season. So he's been a great addition to the team. Our fifth and sixth grade coach couldn't make it either tonight. His name is Anthony Nye, so I just want to give him some recognition. Now to the fun part, the players. These guys aren't just not good athletes, tremendous teammates. They're the type of kids that you look out on the football field, and all the kids from their team are hanging out with them because they're smiling, they're having fun, they're being good team leaders. So that's really what we look for in our player of the years. Our third and fourth grade player of the year is Cooper Dolan. Cooper, you said you would go to Kingsley, correct? All right, so. And our fifth and sixth grade player of the year, Jashawn Smith. This guy's really good. I'd look out for him. He actually jumped over a player, scored a touchdown, and did a backflip. So, give him a round of applause.
And you know, we always hear comments that there's not a lot to do in the city. I think this is a great example of our leisure services and our community in this partnership to make sure our young people are doing all they can do in sports and in other areas as well. Also, though, sometimes we forget that for our coaches, the pay. The pay may not be great, but the rewards to our community, to our young people last a lifetime. I can remember my first youth coaches when I was a young person as well, and that connection and that bond they'll never forget. So we thank you for your commitment to the young people of this community as well. So can we give them a round of applause? But I always like to put our young ones on the spot sometimes. And could you two tell us what you enjoy most about this program?
Well, was pretty hot, some days it was pretty cold.
All right, and the city council makes sure you have good weather as well.
I enjoy scoring touchdowns.
Sounds like he really enjoyed that too. We want to thank you. We want you to also continue to be good students, as we know that you both are. Thank you for all you do, and thank all of you for the program. So, see you later.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Welker.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda. That's items 1
Don't we
through...
have oral presentations first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we better do that.
Right now, we'll give them a second to leave. All right, thank you. Everyone is on one side of the room. All right, now it's time for oral presentations. It's your opportunity to address the city council on non-agenda related items. So you have 3 minutes to come up and tell us what's on your heart and mind, and let's talk about it. So the first person, please come up.
Jim Chapman, 224 Birch. I was just going to bring up what was brought in the work session. We have 114 empty homes that run from $50,000 to $90,000 on the market right now. This came from the Board of Realtors, and I think we ought to start giving them people some incentive to fill those homes before we start building more. Thank you.
All right, next.
Thank you. My name is Marcia Butchin, Mayor and Council. 1510 Lyon Avenue. I guess I didn't register with the city clerk, so I only get 3 minutes. I'll remember that. I opened the newspaper today, the County, the Courier, and noticed this on the bottom of the page. It says, advanced systems to turn 60 with new building, but then it says business will move from Waterloo site to Cedar Falls Industrial Park. The City of Waterloo goals, the first one says to support economic development efforts that attract, retain, and create quality jobs resulting in a diverse economic base and increased population. I seem to remember some people on the board, City Council, I'm sorry, running with that in mind as we voted them in. I just want to make a couple comments on that. I've lived in this community my whole life. I remember when this was Latta's. I remember downtown. I don't know whether it was before that or not. Maybe somebody else could correct me on that. But that was founded in 1957 when I was 8. I didn't make it there till high school. It was founded by a number of people in the community. Then it changed to Advanced Systems in 1966 when I was in high school. I'm really frustrated that we not only lost Menards on the east side, which is now finally, due to Mayor Hart and some other people probably, getting things moving again over there. We've got Hy-Vee, we've got a few things, but we need businesses over there. We need more businesses in Waterloo, and we need more to stay here. I know we can't give incentives for them to stay, but I'm tired of everybody moving out of Waterloo. That's ruining our tax base. I'm a senior citizen now. I know it doesn't really look like it, but I am. Thank you. Who said that? Gotta talk to you. But I feel frustrated because now that we're senior citizens and on a fixed income, even though I've run a business of my own for 34 years here, it's a small business of me. And I just don't think that we should be raising our taxes some more by losing more business. I think we should be retaining businesses and increasing the number and drawing new companies into our community. That's my comment.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And I'm not blaming anybody in particular, just so you all know that, but it's a frustration.
Yep.
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road. Last week, under the finance, we spent some money on the Sportsplex. I'm not sure where the dollars came from. There's $12,912 for something called a strong room, an additional $2,500, and some cents for the pool boilers, for a grand total of $15,429. This Sportsplex was not to cost the taxpayers anything. When they came up with the idea, they said it would be tax neutral. Is this money coming from tax dollars, or is this coming from fees and funds? It was not explained at the meeting last week, nor have I heard or seen anything of where it came from.
Sure. Is that your only question?
Oh, I got a lot of them, but I'll reserve them for some other time.
Bless you, sir.
Paul Heading, Leisure Services Director. That was within our Sportsplex budget. All of the funding that was requested for that is covered by fees and other sources of income, rental and so forth. So it's within the budget. It wasn't a special request.
It's not coming out of my pocket
It is not.
directly. Thank you.
My name is Sam Neal. I live at 514 Kingbarg Boulevard. The young lady that spoke ahead of me kind of inspired me. As I travel around the city, and I do get to most parts of the city in probably over a week or two's time, I've just noticed the little things are slipping. We have street signs leaning right and left. We have manholes that'll about take your car tires off as you go over them. But my point is, we can do things that make this community more attractive if we take some pride in what we do. And our streets are terrible. We've dug them up, we fill them in, and then you got a dip as you go across there. Look at Fletcher. There's signs leaning on Fletcher. There's signs that need to be replaced because the ink or the printing's wore off. But my overall statement is we make a community attractive by taking care of the little things, and we're not taking care of the little things. Thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Did I use my 3 minutes? I just have one.
Well, no, you can address one time.
Okay, but I didn't realize that I could ask a response from this council.
Okay, you had your time. Sorry about that, but that's the way it is.
David Dreyer, 3145 West 4th Street. Seeing the fire on TV and in the paper about the Greystone building, I have done some research and find out that we own that property. And I don't understand why we can't get on the Historic Society website with that and get that historic and fix it up, as opposed to building a block west new apartment buildings that seem to we keep overbuilding our ability to fill those properties or those rooms until we get more business and more people in town. I don't understand, we keep adding more apartment complexes. I keep hearing we need more apartments downtown or more housing downtown that we are getting. However, first, we are overbuilding, as I said. So let's infill the sites we have, which already have the infrastructure needed, sewer, water, previous available utilities, etc. As we need new housing, as we get new housing, we create more blight in this town. Because somebody moves from a house to an apartment, and there's another empty house. And that reflects to item 2 through 7 and 9, where we're approving those people on the agenda to build a house in the same pretty much value as all of these 114 through 600 that we have available for purchase now in this town. Doesn't make any sense to me that we keep building new and neglecting the old. Thank you.
My name is Tracy Southall. I live at 621 Vermont Street. As the council and mayor probably know, I am very passionate about this city and doing good things for the city. I work for Main Street Waterloo. I spend a fair amount of my time helping organize my Waterloo days and just trying to make Waterloo the best that it can. I live near Six Corners, and recently on October 28th, a gentleman set up a flea market / garage sale there. I do know that he applied for a peddler's permit on November 6th. This has just grown and grown. It's taking up quite a bit of the parking lot. It causes a lot of traffic congestion. People are pulling out in front of, the main 5th, 6th, I don't remember which one it is, because they change. And it just looks atrocious in the neighborhood. And I am aware that the city is, hopefully working on this. I'm pretty persistent, so I don't really give up. I am a small business owner. I understand the need to, make money and do things as a business, but I also believe that the things that he's putting out there to sell should be in a brick and mortar. I mean, that is not really where a garage sale or flea market should be. I really hope that the city takes this seriously and looks at the parking issues and the traffic issues and the overall look that it's giving to the Six Corners area. A lot of our single family homes in the area are turning to rentals, so it's becoming harder and harder to make our neighborhoods look as presentable as they possibly can. And I grew up in the area. I grew up on 6th and Allen. I'm a lifelong resident of Waterloo, and I always will be, and I love this city, and I just want to make it look as great as we possibly can.
All right, thank you. We are working on that. Council has been absolutely engaged as well, pushing for that. Dave, do you have any updates with those regards on this issue?
Dave Zella for City Attorney. We hopefully next Monday we'll have a hearing here on the revocation of their license. We have to give them due process. We can't just walk in Gestapo-like and do it. But we think we have a pretty good case, and next Monday, with Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll have it. Be patient. Thank you.
But yeah, thank you. There should be an urgency on that. Anyone else like to talk about during oral presentations? Well, I just want to say, the tone seems to be one of, I don't know, like we're at a funeral right now. But in actuality, I've always said the biggest room we have is a room for improvement. We lose businesses, we gain businesses. The city of Waterloo has just went through a period of its second largest building valuation growth. We're going to work on some of those challenges. Thank you all for your comments. And I read the article today, headed to a meeting. And so I had to do some research to find out exactly what happened. Did we fall short somewhere? To try to ask some of those questions as well. So we are working to address those issues, and I know council is absolutely wondering about those same things too, but we're working on them.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
make a motion to receive and file oral comments.
Second.
Motion is made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. That's items 1 through 6. And within that are the bills payment.
Mr. Welper, can we?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Powers wants to be in this call. Can we wait for the consent agenda for him to?
Sure can.
So she can make the call.
Sure.
His flight was delayed, and he has landed, so he wants to be on part of the meeting as well. Wouldn't that be embarrassing if he doesn't answer?
Leave him a voicemail.
Phone's in airplane mode.
Oh my God. This isn't being publicized. I mean, people can't see this. No, I'm just. Hang up.
Oh, he said he's ready. Let me call one more time.
Thank you for all your patience.
Everyone can see my phone skills tonight.
No, we blame it on him. He's not here. Come on.
Oh, Tom.
Tom, can you hear us?
I can hear.
Well, thanks for not answering the first time. We did our consent agenda. We did oral presentations. Now Ron is going to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. So, Ron?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. That's items 1 through 6. And within that are the bills payment. And the bills payment this week is $4,416,647.39. That's 4,416,647.39.
Second.
That motion has been made with the proper second. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
All right, those items pass. Just want to make Jim Peterson was added to the Memorial Hall Commission. Tom Powers, Complete Streets Advisory Committee. Also, we have a new Deputy City Clerk, Leanne Even. Are you here? If you would stand up, please. We'd like to give her a round of applause for. We also have Scott, is it Buchanan or Buchanan? Scott, are you here this evening? All right, and he's been appointed to the position of maintenance electrician in our traffic department. So those two we wanted to make sure we acknowledge. Public hearings.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Item number 2 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the Martin Road Development Plan Amendment Number 4 removal area to remove properties from the TIF area.
Second.
All right, that motion has been made with the proper second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this particular item on the agenda? Or if you just have general questions, comments, or concerns, please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and comments. Would you like to? It's number 2 on the, under public hearings. And it's for the Martin Road Development Plan Amendment, number 4, removal area. Going a second time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion then to close the hearing and receive the recommendation of approval of the Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission.
Second.
A motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oops, sorry. The hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution affirming previous determination of an area of the city to be an economic development area, determining that the development or redevelopment of said area is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare, designating said area as appropriate for an urban renewal project, and approving the plan amendment.
Second.
The motion has been made with the second. Council, questions?
Could we have Noel just kind of give a
Mr.
high
Anderson.
level?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. The action which is tied to the next council agenda item as well, obviously, is what we're looking at is we have a time limit for when we can utilize the TIF financing for the development of areas. This is the vacant land that has not been developed out there. At this point, having such a short time frame left on it, it will be difficult to get any projects onto this land. So we're recommending to release this vacant land, keep the buildings in, so the other portions will remain in the TIF. They'll come out and be expired at the 20-year time limit, just like they're supposed to. We're recommending to take out this vacant land and then put it back in to give us more time for development out there. We have a number of items to get out there. We have some more infrastructure to be built out there. We have the Greyhound Park dilapidated building to deal with out there, so there's a lot of work to be done out there, and we're going to need more time utilizing the TIF financing to get that done if we want to see projects out there.
Mr. Mayor, could you give a little kind of example of the area we're talking about that'll be be extended?
Essentially, it is the vacant land in the Greenbelt Center. So as you're driving around around the Greyhound Park site, I guess, you know, the Mauer site, it'll be the vacant land around Mauer, it'll be the vacant land around the Social Security office, it'll be the vacant land around Denso and all that.
So south of Ridgeway and west of 63?
West of 63 Ridgeway intersection mainly.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jacobs?
So, Mr. Anderson, are these lots turnkey? They have all the infrastructure installed already? And secondly, why has it taken so long to develop this area?
The first one, no, they do not have all the infrastructure there yet. As you may recall, I think about a month or two ago, we did another development agreement with Harold Youngblood, the developer, out for the majority of this area, to put more infrastructure out there, and did a development agreement to pay him back of $1.8 million to fill out that and make them turnkey so we can compete with other communities. So we're working towards that. We're probably about 12 to 18 months out from having that more built out. And again, you always have the idea of sometimes you'll show a 4-acre site and then you'll get 2-acre or maybe 4 1-acre projects out there, so maybe some more infrastructure will come along. And again, the TIF financing allows us to be able to build that infrastructure and provide sites for projects. Why is it taking so long? You know, we had the 2008 flood, we had the 2008, I think we're calling it a recession, that kind of slowed down the economy from building out there as quickly as we'd hoped. Right now we have a lot of momentum with a lot of projects. There's 2 projects under construction out there now. The Love's Travel Stop is coming. We have a lot of interest in that area. We think we're making headway on working on the Greyhound Park site. So we have a lot of momentum going out there right now that we think that this will help us to go ahead and give us the time to get that developed.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
All right, that item carries.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the newly described Martin Road Development Plan area in the city of Waterloo, county of Blackhawk, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Waterloo, county of Blackhawk, Waterloo Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced in an indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal project.
Second.
A motion's been made with the second. Questions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
All right, those items carried.
Mr.
That
Mayor,
item carried. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
That item carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to consider and pass for the second and third times and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
All right. Number 3, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file proof of publication, notice of public hearing on the Martin Road Development Plan Amendment Number 5 expansion area to expand the boundaries of the TIF area.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against, questions or concerns? State your name, address, and let us know what your thoughts are.
Marcia Butchin, 1510 Lyon. I'm just concerned as to why this TIF area is not somewhere where advanced systems could have been considered to be put, if they considered that at all. That's it. I would like a reply.
This has nothing to do with advanced systems. Every opportunity to communicate with our staff had been made. They went into an existing building, and right now, what we're talking about is land with no building on it. So, you know, that question is something that you spoke about a little bit earlier.
I realize
we
that.
make every effort to try to keep businesses here when we can.
Well-
So right now, we're focused on the expansion of this TIF district. So with all due respect, I like to keep it focused on that area, ma'am.
Okay,
I understand what you're,
Well, can I just say one thing quick? There are a lot of empty businesses downtown. They are going to build onto that business in Cedar Falls. So that's my question, I guess, more than anything.
that is an advanced systems question. Next.
Randy Herod, 111 Highland Boulevard. This is getting back in the old discussions we've had about TIF and TIF monies and like that. And this is gonna, in my opinion, is all gonna pass. I don't think there's any doubt about that. However, I think there's an opportunity here. And that opportunity is to identify a portion of those funds that are tied up in the TIF and eyeball them for a very specific set of projects that are got nothing to do with what we would generally talk about in that development. And in this case, it would be betterment for the city to help attract business, and that is to take enough money out of those TIF to purchase the cameras that the police department need for the coroners, to cover the installation of those cameras and a monitoring installation, so the whole thing can be paid for with the best cameras available on day one, or as close to it as they can get. That would seem to be a reasonable thing to use a small portion of that TIF fund for. And that's all I'm suggesting, that is part of this, to do that.
All right, thank you.
Steve
sir.
Murphy, 124 Terrace Drive, Council, Mr. Mayor. So it's a expansion of a TIF, and we always kind of promised that there would be a release, and there was a very small release. So my words a year ago were, it's kind of like seeing a unicorn around here to see, but maybe we've seen a really small one. I guess what I'm asking for is let's try something different. We have some budget needs. We have public safety needs. What I'm asking is on this TIF, and only this TIF, can we try to take a portion of the TIF funds and dedicate them back to the operating funds for the relief of the existing citizens that maybe don't own a new house? We're paying our taxes. We're not covered by Cura and Clura. We're here. We're paying a disproportionate share of the taxes because of the giveaways that the city has. And what we're asking for is give us some relief. I do think the funds, whatever, maybe half, the funds should be dedicated towards public safety because it's tied back. Those businesses that locate out there are using public safety dollars. So it's a great opportunity to say we're still going to have TIF, we're still going to compete for new businesses, we're still going to have money available if it's a worthwhile project. Maybe we need to put a finer pencil to some of these projects and see which ones are maybe the most ready to go, will provide the highest return rate on some sort of a cost-benefit analysis. And yeah, maybe we'll have to say no to a marginal project. But with the upcoming budget, if we can go back to the citizens and say, we're trying something new, let's take a TIF and a portion of those funds and let's help pay the bills that those businesses incur. I understand that there's still some work to be done out there, but this is not bare farm ground. We have roads. We have a lot of the infrastructure out there. It's a perfect opportunity. There may not be another one in the coming years. So I would ask you, for the citizens that are tired of paying the tax bills by ourselves, to please give us some relief and let's try it. If something bad happens, you can undo it. But what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? Sharing the TIF revenue with the operating funds, specifically public safety. I just don't think the chief's ever going to come to us and say, I'm sorry, council, I just have too much money, and now we've got a problem. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Murphy.
David Dreyer, 3145 West 4th Street. I do not support renewing the Martin Road TIF district in entirety. I support releasing a portion, say 20%, to the general fund for a designated project. As you know, I have spoken against higher taxes and still do, as the TIF was supposed to do, relieve taxpayers. However, I propose we recover some of the TIF, 20%, and designate it for cameras on the streets for public safety, aka reducing crime and solving crimes. Quality cameras. I propose we consider using this because if we can reduce crime, which is on the top of the list for the people considering moving to a business and increasing home sales in the town, taxes will be reduced. This will also, over time, reduce taxes with more people living here to offset the cost per person in the city. Keep them money in a TIF district has not helped reduce taxes in Waterloo. It only perpetuates the TIF to no benefit to the taxpayers as it was designated to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Second time.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral comments and the recommendation of approval of the Planning Programming and Zoning Commission.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now, I'm sorry, Tom. The hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution affirming previous determination of an area of the city to be an economic development area, determining that the development or redevelopment of said area is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare, designating said area as appropriate for an urban renewal project, and approving the plan amendment.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council, questions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
That item carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance providing the general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the newly expanded Martin Road Development Plan area in the city of Waterloo, County of Blackhawk, State of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the State of Iowa, City of Waterloo, County of Blackhawk, Waterloo Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal project.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. Questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Lynn?
I move to amend on the first line of that motion, at the end of that first line, an ordinance providing that I want to add 50% of general property taxes. So in other words, we're going to release 50% of the TIF increment to the general fund.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
That motion has been to release 50% of the TIF portion for general property taxes, correct? Just
Yes,
for Joe.
yes, and of course I agree with the theory that we use that money for traffic monitoring and public safety cameras.
So you don't want it to go to property taxes, you want it to go to cameras?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is property, it's going to be property taxes also.
But we have to assign it to a designated. So Michelle, do you want to chime in on that?
Michelle Wiedner, Chief Financial Officer, trying to decide where to start. I think first of all, if I'm understanding the area right, if we are really only expanding to include vacant land, what we all need to understand, there is no increment today. So what we've done in item number 2, we just stepped up the basis of all those properties to today's value. It's all going to the base now. It's all going to go to all the taxing entities, the city's general funds, the school district, the county. So that's the first point, is we're not going to have any increment unless we get some projects. Now let's go to the second part, which is how do we get projects and how do we fund them, particularly if we want to divert half of the revenue. When we divert half of the revenue, the city will get approximately 43% of that half. That's because we're also going to release it to the school district and Hawkeye and all the other taxing entities. But the way that money gets into that TIF is the incremental value. So the new project that might be going to be built there, or that we certainly all hope is going to be built there. And I kind of wish I had a whiteboard right now. Martin Road is an economic development TIF district. It sunsets. We only get 20 years basically to develop that vacant land. So I've been trying hard to think of an example that we can all apply in our daily lives, and I don't know if this will work, but I'm gonna try it. Let's say your car's broken down, you have trouble getting to work, you have to beg a ride, you have to walk, whatever you have to do to get there. So you decide you're gonna save money for a different vehicle that's more dependable, that's gonna get you to work so that you can make more money. You'll be able to pay off your bills, you'll be able to pay your mortgage and do all those things because you have this car. But you have to save the money for a down payment. And I think we all know in our daily lives, sometimes things come up. Got to take the dog to the vet, got to pay for your kid's school registration. Some months you have more money to set aside in that jar. You got this jar over here that's your saving for your down payment. And some months you don't have as much. The difference with your car is you can save for that down payment forever if you want to, as long as you can find some other way to get to work. The TIF district, we get 20 years. So there's a lid going to go on that jar. And sometimes we collect, generally, and in this case what's going to happen is we're not probably going to collect any revenue, any increment for the first couple of years.
until a building is it takes quite a while. You've got, somebody comes in and takes out a building permit, then they've got to go hire their contractor, they gotta dig a foundation, they gotta build a building. And then the assessor comes along, and it takes a while for that to get on the assessment roll, and it takes 18 months after it's built and done, then it's gonna be another 18 months before the city starts getting any tax revenue. Meantime, we've been paying the debt for that infrastructure, or whatever we're having to pay out of that TIF. So we get behind as we start, then we've got to pay off whatever that infrastructure is and whatever incentives we gave that developer. If we empty that jar too far, we won't be able to pay that developer, or we won't be able to pay the next developer, because we're going to run out of money before we run out of projects. And actually that'll kind of be a good thing. We hope we have lots of projects. But I'm very concerned that it's a very short-term solution to divert that revenue for whatever we want to use it for, whether it's operations or buying cameras, which are clearly a capital item, and we have other funding streams for those. So I just would caution you, all of you, as you consider that, are we going to give up the potential for long-term growth and gain and get the new vehicles that will help us fund our operating budget? Or do we want to spend it all today and maybe not have enough to build that new building or have the incentives for the projects that we need when that TIF does run out? I hope that kind of illustrates what my concern is about TIF and how we would use it.
Michelle, in 2019, what's happening with some portions?
In 2019, the first portion, and it is the Martin Road TIF district, will mature. It will reach its 20-year life limit, and we will be reducing, based on last year's values, because those are the most recent I have, we will be releasing $4.6 million to all the taxing entities. So the city will get about 43% of the tax revenue generated by the $4.6 million. That'll go to all our levies. The school district will get their 53% or whatever it is, and all the other taxing entities will get their share. So when you do that, that's the other thing you have to remember. When we release it, you aren't just moving it all to those cameras. You're only going to get a small slice to those cameras. More of it is going to be released to the school districts and the other taxing entities. So, but Martin Road, piece of it will mature. We're excited about that. We've got some great buildings in that portion of it. That will be released and go to all the taxes, and that will be in fiscal 19. And a few years after that, we will see some other areas of TIF districts that are developed to begin to be released.
Any questions with regards to the impact with the amendment? And this was an amendment by Mr. Lynn, so there's no comments on that amendment to that portion of it. If I'm not mistaken, that's not been a practice. This is just the amendment portion.
Okay, Jim Chapman, 224 Birch. I just got a question. How much money total do we have in all the TIF areas total? Does anybody know?
That right now, after we have conversation about Mr. Lynn's amendment, then we'll go from there. But there's no reason to looking at her.
I'm not
we're
looking
going
at
to
her.
we're going to work on this amendment right now as a council, because it's an amendment to what's existing, which is a change in what's proposed.
I didn't think I could talk on his amendment. I was just asking how much money do we have total in the whole TIF area, that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, so I think we should try something different. We've been doing this TIF thing since I got to the council. And if we just try something different, let's see if it works. The example of somebody building a building out at Greyhound Park. So somebody comes in there and builds a $10 million building. We're going to get half of that taxable value for public safety cameras. I think it's a no-brainer.
All right. Any other questions about the amendment?
Mayor, I have a comment.
You're going to refuse me to speak?
Last
Do you
week,
allow other people
last week
to
I
speak?
got spoke over. This man, council member, has put forth an amendment to what's being proposed on the agenda. I'm not going to allow it right now. We had a hearing about this already. You had opportunity to present here, but I'm not going to continue to be disrespected up on this podium in this rostrum. So, to your answer, not at this particular time. Any other questions with regards to Mr. Lynn's amendment motion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote to 50% goes towards traffic cameras. Sir?
Well, and as I understand it, I can't say this in this amendment. I can only change the amount of money that's going to be levied. So in other words, we're releasing 50% of the increment. That's the bottom line. Isn't that right, Kelly? If you add that 50% of general property taxes levied, that effectively releases 50% of the TIF increment, just like Des Moines does. They collect 50% of their TIF. They release 50% of all their TIF districts.
The question would be to finance if it's possible to earmark that money.
Is it possible to earmark that for his request by releasing, or council has to vote?
I think that needs to be a totally separate vote.
So just to release now?
Yeah, that was my
And
idea.
then
what to
come
use it
back.
for.
To separate those out. Right. Okay.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call vote on the release of 50%.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
just to clarify, we're voting on Councilman Lynn's amendment
Right.
only.
Right, of the 50% release.
Mr. Welper?
No.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
No.
Mr. Powers?
No.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
No.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
All right, so the amendment dies. We have a motion on the table. Any other questions about that? Are we ready to vote? You want the public to?
Did they want to speak at this point, Mr. Mayor?
Good question.
Hearing's over.
It's over, but it is the will of the council to let those speak. If you want to have an opportunity to talk about this and have not talked already.
And can we get an answer to that question about the amount? Would that be appropriate now or no?
Could I take, Mr. Mayor, could I just take a brief recess? I need to take care. Or I'll wait till
No.
after this, till after.
You sure?
Yeah, I will.
I'll be quick for you.
All right, Forrest.
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road. The statement that the TIFs expire is not necessarily correct. We had an airport TIF that was about to help us with taxes. That TIF was changed into from an economic development into an urban renewal, and that money was funneled into Logan. Logan needed it, I agree. You just had an economic TIF that was about to run out after 20 years. You changed it and give it another 20 years. So those statements that it'll expire after 20 years are a political statement. They are not a fact. You continue to change it, you continue to promise us relief, and you continue to move the goal line. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
All
Mr.
right.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. Questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
No.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
All right.
Kelly.
Oh,
You-
Mr. Jacobs, sorry.
No.
Mr. Mayor, could I take a brief, I'd like to make a motion for a brief recess, maybe 3-4 minutes?
Why don't we say up to 5 minutes?
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Second. Do we need a motion to second that, or can we just go?
Yeah, let's do it in a second.
That motion has been made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we said up to 5 minutes.
Time's up.
Do we have to close recess?
Probably.
Yeah, let's make a motion in a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reopen.
Second.
All right, that motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Tom. Number 4, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to receive and file proof of publication and notice of public hearing, which is a request to sell and convey the former vacated alley portion within the former Bolin block in the amount of $1 to Hawkeye Community College, along with a development agreement.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Is there anyone that would like to speak for or against, or have questions or concerns about this project? Going the second time.
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing sale and conveyance of the alley, a vacated alley within the former bowling block, generally located in the block bounded by Mullen Avenue, Jefferson Street, West First Street, and Highway 218 to Hawkeye Community College in the amount of $1. Resolution authorizing sale and conveyance of the vacated alley within the former bowling, generally located in the block bounded by Mullen Avenue, Jefferson Street. I don't know why I'm reading this over again, but it's there. First Street, Highway 218, in the amount of $1, improving a development agreement with Hawkeye Community College.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council, questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
All right, item carried. Could someone take 5, 6, and 7, please?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt?
Item number 5 is adopting a resolution authorizing professional service agreement with Pro West and Associates, Inc. of Walker, Minnesota, in an amount not to exceed $24,590 to provide a GIS, Geographic Information System, needs assessment, and implementation plan. Item number 6 is adopting a resolution approving installation of a 25-mile-an-hour speed hump in the 800 block of Idaho Street. And item number 7 is adopting a resolution approving a REAP grant agreement number 17-R4-EB Waterloo Boathouse enhancements with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources for a state grant of $200,000 to be used for improvements to the Waterloo Boathouse.
Second.
All right, a motion has been made with a second. Any questions about these 3 items?
Mr. Mayor, if we could just have a little overview on item number 7, if Paul would like to tell us what we're getting with that potential money.
Mr. Hutting.
Paul Hutting, Leisure Services Director. We will be using this money along with some bond money that we have been kind of waiting to match, and with this match money we'll be able to improve the parking dramatically. It's not actually, it kind of reads for the boathouse, it's the area surrounding the boathouse. So we'll have a new paved parking lot for those people who use the boathouse, an array of other improvements including some overlooks, trail connections, and related to this, closely related to this, is the hope that we can then use this entire amount to match with a gaming grant, and then we could also do all the paving down on the boating end. But that would be a next phase if we're successful with that. But this will be eligible for match for a gaming grant.
So there's not any docks or anything involved in this part of it?
There'll be some, this part is the parking and the area right around the boathouse itself to improve it primarily for the rental users of that facility. Kent's been managing, or the Center for the Arts has been managing that. The numbers are up, but the complaints are up as well with the muddy kind of subpar parking area around. The facility's great, but the area around it is not. We hope to use this as match to then do the entire area. That's our hope.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Huddy, again, one of the things that have been asked was we do all this project. What happens if we get another major flood and comes through there and wipes it out? How is that then restored?
Well, the good news is the boathouse was built with floods in mind and has survived beautifully through the last couple of floods we have, and these would be also designed to be, I don't want to say flood proof, but very flood tolerant. We're putting hardscape paving that will do fine, and flooding we're also putting in some overlook with materials that we've used in other flood prone areas. So we feel that most of this there'll be cleanup, of course, after a major flood, but beyond that, we don't expect damage to the improvements.
Thanks. If you can ask, what's the challenges we have right now with the parking lot stuff, the reason for?
Well, the current parking we have now is gravel and mud. Depending on the time of year, it's usable or not. And then the area where the boats are launching is, it's paved, but it's full of potholes and really in pretty bad condition. This would allow us, if we take the next step, to have the entire area newly paved, newly landscaped, connected to the existing bike trails in the area, existing shelter and restroom. It would all be connected. So it would just make it a whole lot easier for anyone having a wedding or a reception or any kind of a party to, especially if you're going there and you're in any kind of clothes that you want to keep mud free. It's just going to be a whole lot better for anyone using the site.
Thank you. 5, 6, and 7. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
All right, thank you. 8, 9, and 10, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobs.
Number 8 is a resolution approving award of bid to Don's Truck Sales, Inc. of Fairbank, Iowa for the purchase of one Ford F-450 truck with pump garbage compactor in the amount of $81,043.25. Resolution number 9 is authorizing an exception to the City of Waterloo purchasing procedures to approve the purchase of one John Deere 544K wheel loader from Murphy Tractor, Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $113,900. That's submitted by Mark Rice, Public Works Director. Number 10 is a resolution approving the preliminary and final plat of a minor plat of survey of parcel V of lot 63 of Summerlin Park First Edition, submitted by Eric Schroeder, City Planner.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made with the second. Question? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
All right, those items carried. 11 and 12, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
I
Lynn.
move to adopt a resolution approving a variance to the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, section 11-3-2 preliminary plats and section 11-3-3 final plats relating to the approval of the minor plat of survey of parcel V of lot 63 of Summerland Park First Edition. And number 12 is a resolution approving the request of Kristen Johnson to lease 8 acres of city-owned land along Bishop Avenue just south of the Blowers Creek Drainage Way for 1 year with the option to renew for 1 year.
Second.
Motion has been made with the second. Questions?
Could we have a little overview of number 12, please?
No?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. This is 8 acres of city-owned land along Bishop Avenue near the drainage way. Portions of it are in the floodway, portions are in the floodplain, and some other portions are out. Typically, instead of us mowing this, they've used this for horses there and have baled it instead, saving the city the money from expenses of having to mow it and instead making a little bit of revenue by leasing it out.
And do we have, if something would come up from a development opportunity, which doesn't sound likely the way you described it, but if it did, we could get out of that second year?
Yes, we do.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Amos.
this particular property, I have had some calls as far as the horses being out, and there was no way to get in contact with the owner on that. Is there going to be something put in place to where if those horses do get out, that individual would have the ability to get in contact with the horse owner, because it's been an issue a few times.
So the horses gotten loose?
Yes.
Have been going through the neighborhood?
Yes, and it's my understanding that the police have had to round them up.
All right. So call your office or call animal control?
We get hold of them.
All right.
Call animal control.
Is there any way, is the area fenced in? I can't remember. Fenced in or?
Yeah, it's fenced in.
Is there any way that they can put their contact information on the fence and then also you as a secondary number?
You can ask me that.
Don't ask them, tell them. It's our property. So they can see appropriate contact information. And also, what if planning and zoning is closed?
They got your number.
We'll put information on Jerome is there for.
They've been calling me.
So we'll put the appropriate information for contact on whatever signage it is. All right, thank you. Other questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
All right, those two items carried. Number 13,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 3 in the amount of $2,800 to Lodge Construction of Clarksville, Iowa, in conjunction with the Sherwood Recreation Area Phase 2 improvements.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Questions? Madam Clerk? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. That is the end of the council meeting.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.